I am grateful for being somebody saying, "Hi, Sally." I'm very grateful for being recognized.
Sally Jesse Raphael, host of one of the hottest and some say the most outrageous, controversial talk show on daytime television anywhere. But for 25 years, this daytime success went through disappointments, firings, setbacks, and defeats.
Believe me, when you've lost it all, there ain't nowhere to go but up.
You know women peak at 40 and men at 19. Oh, yeah.
We're conditioned to think that at 40, if you haven't made it, it's over. It isn't.
K.T. Oslin, one of country music's biggest, nicest stars. But for K.T., success has come only after 2 tough decades of frustration and failure.
There was one point I wanted to quit. I finally said, I think I'm insane. I think I'm insane, and I'm going to end up on the street babbling about when I was in show business.
Good evening, everybody. Let's call this one Just Don't Quit. Don't ever give up. Now, if you need a little dose of inspiration, motivation, determination, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in tonight's program. Sally Jesse Raphael and a singer and a writer by the name of K.T. Oslin. 2 incredible women, ladies, who traveled a tough, bruisey, bumpy road to the top. Now, we're talking tonight about a couple of late bloomers. Both of these women failed for 20 years. They were humiliated, they got fired from their jobs, but they never gave up, overcame incredible obstacles. They just wouldn't quit. Tonight, I think a very interesting, intimate look at 2 of the most exceptional, successful, determined ladies this guy has ever met.
Bonds on Success is brought to you in part by Chili's Grill and Bar, Chili's like no place else, and by your local Pepsi-Cola bottler, the choice of a new generation.
Sally, I want to thank you for having a show like this because this makes my adrenaline pump.
5 years ago, if you had publicly bet $5 that Sally Jesse Raphael was going to be the fastest rising, one of the most popular television talk shows in America, they would have put you in the cuckoo's nest, and I know what I'm talking about because I've been in one. Over the years, she was fired 18 times. She lived on food stamps. She once lived and ate with her family in a car while she was out of a job. She was born in Pennsylvania, went to Puerto Rico, came back. She's worked all over the world. She's been a correspondent for AP, a disc jockey. She was a host for a cooking show. She's had 25 jobs, been fired from most of them. Then a few years ago, Sally decided to put on some red glasses and start talking to Americans. An incredible success story. You're a typical overnight success. 35 years it took you to get to sit in this chair talking to those of us in Detroit. Nowhere along the line did Sally say, oh, the hell with it, I'm not going to make it?
Every day.
What kept you going?
I don't know how to do anything else. I had to eat. I don't know how to do anything else. My father once said when I was 12, I thought he was going to have this sex conversation. He said, I want to talk to you. I loved it. And I went, what's he going to tell me? And he says, please do not learn how to type or how to take shorthand. And I was so relieved that he wasn't talking to me about sex that I said, okay. So
Your dad had to be one of the first feminists in the Western Hemisphere.
Do you know he was? He was almost an ardent feminist in an era where they thought the word feminist meant a communist. You know, they didn't know what it was. It's a new word. So he was very. He never said, my little girl, how pretty she looks. Aren't we going to marry somebody wonderful? Who are we going to date? She'll be a prom queen, or they never bought me a bride doll. What he did was say, what are we going to do? He let me listen to business conversations.
Yeah.
He let me sit around. That goes way, way back, yeah.
Your critics say that you do sleazy, kinky shows, kind of a National Enquirer.
They say we all do, but don't they? Not just me.
Mostly you. Now, I hear people say, why does Sally do that kind of...
Yeah, I guess if I were being flip, I would say, I don't know, who cares, but the rating growth is astonishing, and please God, let it continue. I doubt success, but it's growing and becoming successful. That would be the flip answer. Here's the other answer. You deserve better than that, Bill. To say that as a criticism is for me to answer you that whoever says that doesn't watch the show, or whoever else. Do not watch talk shows. It's real easy, and a lot of members of the press write those things.
Yeah.
I say to somebody, the press, the written press, I say to them, would you like me to pick up your newspaper and judge you on the comics? Most of the people who say that there's an element of a freak show or of a element of being prurient or a circus or tabloid are talking about an extremely small percentage of what the show is about. They aren't writing about cancer. They're not writing about the shows that we've done in which there have been good, legitimate political debates. They're not writing about understanding your teenager, helping your marriage. That's the bulk of the work, 98%. They're writing about 2%.
Is there anybody around you who, when you walk off this set, you go into your dressing room, who said, you know, Sally, you were really lousy today?
Almost everybody on the show. And by the way, I would think that the younger producers or the interns don't do that, because that would be kind of rude. But are there a lot of people who do say that to me? Unfortunately, yes, and sometimes they're not right.
So you don't surround yourself with yes men and yes women?
I'm told, and many times I feel, Bill, that I surround myself with the opposite, that all of my close friends trash the heck out of me, and that I get unmerciful carvings. I'm told that I am sliced and diced by my friends in front of me, and I actually really rather like it. Maybe I'm just used to it. Maybe I've had it my whole life, and I wouldn't know how to behave if anyone said something nice.
Fair to say, Sally's riding the success train.
Mm-hmm. I'm lucky.
Here we are in the summer of 1991. Where do you want to be in the winter of 1995?
4 years from now, I'd love to have my debts paid, Bill.
Who do you owe anything to?
Oh, God, all those years of not earning any money.
Oh, come on, Sally, you've got to be a multimillionaire. Come on.
I've had less than 1 year of a decent earning power, and 34 of not. And it was 26 years before I could pay my American Express bill. And I don't think that I'm in a position, because I have a roof over my head and food on my table, to be the one to complain. But there is a great chasm between what people think we earn and what we do earn. I do not have money put away. I do not have financial security. Is that an answer for you? Would I like to have in 4 years? That is right now a #1 priority, because terrible things have happened to me in my life that I didn't. I think I could have saved both parents' lives if I had the money to buy the fancy doctors or any kind of doctors.
They died.
Yes, I think I could have.
Saved
yes,
your
I
parents'
think.
lives?
My parents were both died as charity people, and had to use public health. Truth is that in our country there are very, very few people who could pay for a catastrophic illness for their loved ones. I am way in the majority in saying I could not.
You have power, intellect, and fame. What do you want to do with those three things you have now that you're not doing?
I want to bear in mind how small and insignificant I am and how unimportant anything I say is, and the world that I represent that people are dazzled by how really insignificant it is. I want not to abuse that power, to really be mindful that there's an awful lot of important things, and we're not one of them. You and I are not one of them, and I don't want to be guilty of squandering, and I don't want to be guilty of having an excess of anything in my personal life, because I think an excess is almost immoral in its attitude. And all I want to do is to be allowed to realize how lucky I am to have this power, and to be allowed to continue to do the best I can, because I can't do anything more than the best I can. I don't control all this world. I just do the best I can. Whew.
Is the Sally with the red glasses sitting here right now as happy as she's ever been, or is there still more to come?
No, there are times when she was a lot happier. It seems silly, but the Cunard getting there is half the fun. There were times when it was so awful that it was positively wonderful. There is a great freedom. Right now I have a lot of responsibilities. There was a great freedom in being terrifically broke. People are going to say, God, that sounds awful. Terrifically broken, very much in debt, and only having a car and having nowhere in the world to go. There's a, believe me, when you've lost it all, there ain't nowhere to go but up.
Up next, country music's overnight sensation. 20 years in the making. Meet K.T. Oslin when Bonds on Success continues in just a moment. Well, it was that hit song, 80s Ladies, and that's when millions of Americans met a woman by the name of K.T. Oslin, one of the biggest all-time country female stars in Nashville. But you know how long it took her to get there? More than 20 years. She acted in Broadway, she acted off-Broadway, she flopped. She tried commercials, she flopped. Finally, she runs into a pal, and she says, "Why am I such a failure?" He said, "You're not. You ought to be down south writing and singing love songs." Well, she's been doing it ever since. Another woman who just did not and would not quit, K.T. Oslin. Most people in our business, after 20 years, feeling I'm failing, would have given up.
Absolutely.
Now, why didn't K.T. give up? Or does she know?
She's too hard-headed and too stubborn. She couldn't go home. She couldn't go home a failure. She could not. There was one point I wanted to quit. I finally said, I think I'm insane. I think I'm insane, and I'm going to end up on the street babbling about when I was in show business. And I really did. I thought I had gone nuts. And there's no way I can do this. You have got to get a real job. When I was doing commercials, I would have, you know, heck, 5, 6 auditions a day and get rejected for every one of them, Monday through Friday. I would go through 2 months of never getting anything. You know, most people are not rejected that much for work in their entire lifetime. And then I got angry and said, why are they doing this to me? Them. You got to find a them, you know. You can't dump it all on you. You have to find a them. You have to get furious with them. You have to want to show them something and say, I'll show you. By God, I'll show you. You don't know anything.
Well, you know, that's...
And that's what I did.
Okay. I think the greatest combination are dreamers who are doers.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect you're both. When did you know you were different?
I don't know that I discovered that I was different. I just realized that I just wasn't quite like the other kids. You know, everybody else was talking in terms of, well, when I grow up and I get married and I'm going to be a nurse, and I'm going, no, I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to be a chanteuse. I'm going to be an entertainer of some sort.
In other words, you knew very early
Oh, yeah.
you were going to be something different.
Oh, yeah. I had to be. I had to be. I had to be different.
Trust is a very, very important personal relationship.
Yep.
Does it take you a long time to trust new people?
It depends on the person. There are some people that are instantly trustworthy. You instantly connect to them. Others you go, I tend to be, see, K.T. Oslin, the initials K.T. Oslin, is one person. She is a fearless warrior that needed to come forth in order to get this pussycat named Kay Oslin to the forefront. Kay is soft and sweet and trusting and dumb.
Well, which one of them makes the major life decisions? Or does it go back and forth?
Kay sets them up and writes the music, and KT takes care of the business. She runs the office. KT Oslin is only about 4 years old around here. She's only been around about 4 years. Kay Oslin was around all that other time, and she had her problems. And she's very soft and very sweet and can be mowed down, and I knew that, and so the other one had to come out and take care of business.
But the other one came out then when this total person finally became an overnight superstar at the age of 45.
46. Ooh. There's no way I could prepare myself for being a quote-unquote star. You cannot prepare for that. You can dream, you can think, you can imagine, but until you're up there and all of a sudden somebody's going, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, we only need 15 minutes of your time, we need you to do this, and you're going, ooh. KT handled that real well. She handled that real well. She said, oh, I can do this. I can do this. This is business. This is cut and dry. This is not this. This is not affairs of the heart. This is not anything to do with music. This is to do with business.
You'd be surprised, I think, at the impact that you've had on women in the 80s looking for the things that you wrote about in that song.
It was writing about the women my age and what we had done were very interesting. The men are the same way. We had a lot of changes come at us. And I did some of them, but not all of them. The story is not about me. The song's not about me. It's about what we went through. We women of that age group, not a 30-year-old, a 40 to 50-year-old.
You know, during the 50s...
You know what I remember from the 50s? A girls' gym class where, like, once a month you'd have this, like, class where you'd talk about who knows what. They would skim and scam around. You'd go, what was that about? We go, I don't know, something to do with sex or something. And you'd walk out the door knowing, you know, what did they say? And I remembered the teacher telling us, look, when you're on a date, talk about the subject the boy likes. Don't talk about something he doesn't like, and never beat him at anything. And this was the summation of the 50s. Don't even try to come close. That was kind of the way the 50s were. The 60s, we let it all hang out. The 70s, we went, me, I am me.
And maybe the 90s is going to be a blend of the two, right?
I think so. It's going to be very different. It's going to be better.
For who?
For everybody. Men are starting to come into their own. I mean, you know, we said, oh, we need to change our whole structure here, and man says, well, okay, fine, and they sort of went along with it, but they didn't have their little change yet, and they're starting to now. And it'll be better. It'll all even out, and we'll be much better.
Do you fall in love easily? Or
No.
have you?
No.
Have you ever fallen deeply in love?
Yes, I believe I did. Not to the point where I said, oh, I must marry this man and I must have his children. No.
How about now? Is there somebody in your life that's important to you?
Well, there's starting to be somebody. I mean, we've had a couple of dinners.
We've had
a lot of meals together. That's about it. I can't do that.
Is he younger than you are?
He's slightly younger, yes. He's 43.
Is he handsome?
Oh, I think he is, yes, I do.
Is he in the biz?
He's a writer, yes.
Yeah. How long has this been going on?
It's about a month. That's why I'm not going to answer any of these questions. You could come back in 2 months and I go, who? Who are you talking about?
He's 43. He's obviously from around Nashville. That's where you have dinner. And he's probably had a hit song last
many.
year. Many? So he's famous, but you're not going to tell us who it is. Well, give us a hint.
No. No way!
Which one of you made the decision not to tell us?
K.T. Oslin.
So you can blame it on her, right?
She's very definitely the governor. Kay wants to blab her head off.
Now, are K.T. and Kay both in love with the same guy?
Yes.
This famous songwriter in Nashville that you got to have dinner with.
Yeah, they both like him.
Is there anything that you really want that you don't have yet?
I don't have anything burning at me anymore to do. Now I want to enjoy my life, enjoy my accomplishments. Just groove. I worked so hard, so long. I'd like to think that entertainers make people's lives a prettier place. And that's all I wanted to do, was just make people happier.
Little personal opinion here. I talk to a lot of kids. And you know what I tell them? Deep down inside of each and every one of us, there's something you want to do. Chances are that if there's something you want to do and you start doing it, you're going to get pretty good at it. And in America, when you get pretty good at something you like to do, it pays off. There's happiness and there is success. That's really what K.T. Oslin and Sally Jesse Raphael are all about. Don't just dream your dreams, live them. You'll end up happy and successful. I think that's a way America works, and I think these two incredible ladies kind of prove it. Bill Bonds reporting. Good night.
Bonds on Success has been brought to you in part by Chili's Grill and Bar, Chili's like no place else, and by your local Pepsi-Cola bottler, the choice of a new generation.